Yeah, so nature therapy is the practice of going into nature or the outdoors, with the intentionality of either physical healing or improvement of mental health or spiritual health. But being in nature with intention of change and improvement. Yeah, so it goes back a ways. There's two pictures up there. I think this is about the picture on the left is a couple years ago, and this guy on the left is, he's having a pretty rough physical day. Externally things are pretty challenging. I was sleeping under that tent for a number of days, but internally, couldn't be more wholesome. I've got a lot of purpose, a lot of confidence in my identity. I know what I'm going to do today, tomorrow, next year. And you fast forward about 12 months after that is the second picture was taken, and that person has pursued a lot of the things that we, in society believe that we need to do to be happy and to be successful and feel like we're going to have a good, remainder of our lives. And that person on the right was, really struggling, a lot of loss of identity, really unsure what I was going to do. On antidepressants, I was really struggling, really trying to figure out what the rest of my life was going to be like. And so luckily I got involved. I started spending a lot more time in the outdoors. I ended up involving myself with the Veterans Outdoor Advocacy group further. And through that, I've been able to bring veterans into the outdoors and expose veterans and the outdoors to their own mental health journey. And that's a picture of me and my daughter recreating The Lion King, and so spending time with her in the outdoors. So it was really a healing process for me, and that VOAG, that's what we're trying to bring it to a systemic level and make outdoor nature therapy part of veteran mental health and for the long term. In addition to thousands of anecdotal and testimonial stories and things that we've come in contact with VOAG, and I'm sure many of you in this room have your own experience with your own mental health, and nature or the outdoors has played a part in that. But we're starting to see data and science catch up to that. There's a recent study out of Stanford showing that rumination of the prefrontal cortex is slower, a more gradual process, and in many times reduced outdoors. So this is lines right up with why a veteran would claim to have what ultimately they're describing is a lesser fight or flight response, spending time in outdoors. Another study out of the University of Delaware looked at a panel of physiological measurements, heart rate, temperatures, perspiration after severe arousal of the central nervous system. One subject spending the next block of time indoors, and the other group outdoors, and both the physiological measurements and the verbal claim of the individual shows that the reduced to baseline is significantly increased outdoors. So. We've probably been at this 6 years, and the amount of research dollars and interest in this topic is rapidly decreased in the last, I would say, 24 months. Tons of anecdotal, and testimonial experience, and then as well as some really great science that's coming out. Yeah, so I'd say, one thing that's important to mention is that this nature therapy and outdoor recreation therapy isn't a new concept. If you go back to Native American traditions and all of the major wars that the U.S. has participated in, nature therapy and a return to the outdoors upon coming home has been part of that. the 10th Mountain Division, came back and really set the standard and sort of the infrastructure for the American Ski Patrol and a lot of the ski employment that we see. From our side, we see three kind of reoccurring things. This is the outdoors creates a framework that provides a shared mission. So these veterans come back, they have such alignment to a shared mission for however many years they served, and they come back and they seek that out, or that that can feel nostalgic or therapeutic to take part in that. There's risk in the outdoors, in some cases, but not all. I think a lot of veterans deal with apathy and boredom, and they come back, from combat and join the ranks of civilian careers and civilian occupations, and it can feel, there can be some deep apathy in there and some struggle to get that, to feel that engagement again. And the outdoors is a place where that is possible. And then, a place to process. If we think about, and in my case, these veterans come back and their life moves fast. So they come back from deployment and they decide to get out, and there's young kids involved, and there's moves across the country, and they need to get a new job. And unless they deliberately seek out a time in their life to process some of that stuff, it may not happen, which can be pretty consequential after a period of time. So the outdoors, is a place, hopefully where you're going to put your phone away and you're going to, be at a cell phone service and be alone and sort of, it's going to facilitate a place to process. So, the physiological effects we already sort of discussed, but from our point of view, that's what that's sort of the common themes we're seeing. We should all care about nature therapy, I think, for two reasons. Veteran suicide and veteran mental health is an epidemic in this country, and these are our brothers and our sisters and mothers and cousins and colleagues and coworkers. They're a sizable portion of our community, and there's some real pain out there. Secondly, trauma and nature therapy, or spending time in the outdoors, isn't specific to combat trauma or combat trauma from a war. Everyone in this room, I'm sure, has experienced some sort of trauma, and the nature and the outdoors are not, they're not specific to trauma from war. So divorce, the loss of a loved one, we all go through things, and so it's something that we can all benefit from. Physically, I would say there's not more to it than that. I would add it requires intentionality. It's not the walk from your car in the parking lot into your office isn't nature therapy, but if there's intention and there's a pursuit of betterment, a pursuit of change, then that is nature therapy. And so it's not, we try to reinforce, this doesn't have to be, 2-week long trip to Nepal or climbing Everest or rock climbing some cliff. We've worked with veterans who meet in Central Park, Vietnam veterans, every Sunday morning, have some camaraderie and walk in Central Park. And there's really no parameters or requirements. So, to answer your question, physically, no. Going outside is nature therapy, but it does require intention. To me, I think change means, participating in a life that never becomes complicit in what we know can be improved. It's participating in a life that is always striving for betterment. I think, for veterans, there's some really harsh realities and some things we can't change. But what we can do is change the way we come away from those realities and the way we choose to use the years after our service And yeah, I think that's not something that has to be a veteran thing or a military thing. I think we all have events in our past that we can't control, and change means you're going to move on from that and pursue a better reality in the future.